So let's start with getting an understanding of what hot take dating really is. From a psychological perspective, is it about efficiency? Is there an element of anxiety or control or something deeper going on?
Yeah, so there is a lot of difference of opinion when it comes to hot take dating. My personal opinion is it's just anxiety management, which we can go into a little bit later. But for everyone else, it's about talking about politics, religion, gender roles, all the tough, juicy topics that maybe people have not spoken about in the first or second date because they've kept it around superficial conversations. And the suggestion is that it tries to create depth in conversation rather than small talk, which, let's face it, can be quite boring and it doesn't really allow us to get to know somebody very well.
Would you do it?
Would I do it on a first date? I don't think I would talk about politics on a first date because when I mention, I think it's all about anxiety management. I think as a psychologist, I look at it from an insecurity perspective.
I mean, can you imagine having a first date and you're like, oh my goodness, it's a relationship expert that I'm going to be having dinner with. You'd be on your best behaviour.
Yeah, when I used to date, that used to show up a lot. But I think with this hot take dating idea, it's actually an interrogation. And as a couples therapist, when you look at, Dr. Sue Johnson's whole EFT work around couples therapy, it's all about trying to make sure that partners are not interrogating the other partner. And it's all about their curiosity into connection and understanding their opinions from their perspective rather than interrogating that they don't agree with your political view.
Yeah, that makes sense. We spoke recently to an author who'd written a book about how to basically not hate the people that you disagree with. But I feel like we are so black and white, so divisive now. And it's like, you're in this camp, I'm in that camp, and, never the twain shall meet. I do think there's an argument there for discussing big topics relatively early on. And we can talk about perhaps what you should address, maybe not on a first date, but in the beginning stages of a relationship. But coming back to hot take dating, Charlie, why do you think it's gaining momentum right now?
I think as dating's evolved through time, I mean, dating's always been difficult, let's face it. It's always been difficult to find your person. I think with all the social media and accessibility in the media, that pattern, especially here in Dubai, is talked about all of the time. I mean, I hear from some of my clients who first start working with me that dating's really difficult. And my question is, well, actually, why is it difficult for you? Because there's a lot of partners. I mean, recently this week, one of my clients was like, well, why is it so difficult to find someone? And I was like, well, what are you looking for? And all she could tell me was someone who was taller than her, someone who had a good job and was active. And I challenged her and I said, but that's not about the person, that's externals. And actually, when you only think about those three, that covers probably at least half of the city.
A lot of people. So people may be a bit pickier than they want to let on. I want to come back to something you said, which is about communication, because one of the upsides of hot take dating is that it reveals not just what someone thinks, which I think is interesting in itself, but also how they think. And I wondered, in your work with couples, Charlie, how important is it to be with someone and understand how someone handles disagreement compared to like their actual opinion itself?
Yeah, and I think the message from me today is more about if somebody is quite disrespectful in their opposing opinion, or they don't handle disagreement very well, then that's probably a red flag. Because as a relationship progresses, whether it is about some of the big topics that obviously are important, but if I cannot, as a partner, handle conflict in a safe way, I'm never actually going to be able to conflict repair, which is essential for being a partner in a relationship.
Alicia's been in touch, Charlie, saying, I actually love this idea. I wasted 3 months on someone before finding out he didn't want kids, e.g. actively hated them. Shouldn't we just get the big stuff out early on?
The answer, in short, is about balance. Okay, I speak to a lot of people about needing to have the serious conversations, but at the same time, connection and depth are authentically built over time. And I really, really urge people who are single and people who are dating that the spark is not the best start to any relationship. And we
What?
are...
No. Pause.
Pause, okay.
Why not? Because that's what we want. We want the fireworks. And you're like, well, that's a good sign. There's the lust there. That means we're meant to be.
No. So the spark and initial chemistry at the first date, second date is genuinely insecurity bubbling up through an activated nervous system, thinking chaos is love when actually it's lust and just a release of serotonin.
And presumably doesn't last long term.
No. And the quicker the fire, the quicker the burnout. And lots of people who come to me who have been long-term singles, the first thing I tell them is that dating is a skill. Dating can be learnt. And it's about finding the balance and navigating so much mismatch information that is out there. Mm-hmm. But quite a lot of us are stuck really in kind of three ways. Are we doing hot take dating to avoid time, right? Are we doing it from an anxious standpoint because we're trying to protect ourselves? Maybe we've gone through betrayal trauma or our ex was narcissistic. So, is it actually we're doing it to try and protect ourselves from hurt down the line? Or actually are we just hypervigilant and maybe we are pushing in an unhealthy, disrespectful manner to find information that dysregulates someone's nervous system?
Anonymous, thank you so much, saying, what I love about this whole conversation is that non-negotiables, hot take dating sounds intense, but the healthiest ones are quite simple. They're less about, you must think exactly like me, and more about, this is the emotional climate that I want to live in.
The most important thing to remember about ourselves as individuals, not alone romantic partners, is that we change. And what view we may have right now today might not actually be the same viewpoint in 5 years' time. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to some of these topics on hot take dating, is it about alignment in the values of emotional stability? How does that person make me feel when I'm with them?
Yes.
Do I feel calm? Do I feel safe? Or do I feel like I have to perform?
What are genuine non-negotiables in dating?
Yeah, so I think genuine non-negotiables refer around health, can refer around kind of lifestyle, can refer around some sort of family and financial situations. For example, if I'm a smoker, is my partner asthmatic? It's not about, again, or vice versa. It's not about trying to change them, but is it something they're happy to give up, or is it a non-negotiable for you because it's going to impact your health? Some people think about non-negotiables as being, they want to get married, they don't want to get married. But genuinely, with quite a few people that I've worked with, when they meet the right person, actually when they feel safer and they do feel genuine love and they've met that person who makes them feel super safe and authentic and almost childlike, because it's so good, they actually change their opinion on whether they do or don't want to get married. It's also one with time, so non-negotiables, you almost need to not look at dating as a shopping list, a checklist, or harsh, unrealistic expectations, and actually go, is my non-negotiable that they're emotionally intelligent? Is my non-negotiable that they're able to provide empathy, or there's always a will to repair? I think non-negotiables really do need to be linked to behaviors and value alignment rather than some of the big things. But that being said, it goes back to balance of what that looks like for you.
I think the dating apps have actually hindered a lot of people because there's this, I guess, perception of abundance that, I don't like what she's wearing in this photo, swipe, or he's, 2 inches taller than, my ideal height, swipe. And then what we kind of lose clarity on, emphasis on, is those needs rather than those wants.
There are 3 types of unhealthy data. Okay, the one who always romanticizes and believe that their soulmate exists, because the unhealthy part is they've got huge unrealistic expectations on what a relationship should look and feel like. The second one is they've got unrealistic expectations on a partner, always thinking, is there someone better? They keep looking, and actually, you know, their pursuit of the perfect partner is hindering them in dating. And the third one, they've got unrealistic expectations on themselves that, oh no, I can't date possibly right now. I've got that promotion, or I'm not feeling very lovable right now because, you know, something horrendous has just happened. So almost the viewers need to ask themselves, do they fall into one of those categories? You know, is it unrealistic expectation on relationship, partner, or self that's keeping them from successful dating?
If you do leave a first date being like, I don't really feel like there was a spark, when should you give someone a second chance?
Yeah, again, I would say if there's doubt, but again, it's balance. So were they, you know, fitting in X, Y, and Z? Were they not so in A, B, and C? Because people are nervous on first dates, right? Some people have not learned the dating skill. They might be the people who don't even say, hi, how are you doing in an elevator? So how do we expect them to have good social skills in a date when we're nervous? So I would say if there was some level of attraction in some capacity, get to know them further, because realistically, what we do in an hour or two over a coffee is not who we truly are. And it actually takes time to peel back the onion layers to really get to know who a person is at their core.
Couldn't agree more.